Okay, let's jump into JanPro's policies and procedures. Now we're going to get into our specific policies and procedures for JanPro. There's actually 28 subjects, so we'll kind of break this into 4 quarters. The first quarter will be the first 7 subjects: compliance with our brand standards, your legal responsibilities, beginning your new JanPro franchise business, insurance, financial documentation, basic certification program, and the fulfillment of your initial plan. So this will be sort of quarter 1 for us. So subject 1, compliance with policies. It's our goal to provide cleaning services that not only satisfy our customers, but surpass their expectation. So the Policies and Procedures Manual is here to help ensure that we all work together to meet this high standard. So working together means you need to do your part, managing your business. You need to devote enough time and effort to ensure that your business performs all cleanings on time to our standards. You or your authorized representative should perform or supervise all the cleanings. It's your business, so our expectation is that you're treating it like a business, and as before we talked about, not like an employee, that you are responsible at the end of the day, that the quality is there, the service is there, and the customer is happy. What are your responsibilities in managing your business? Well, one is to abide by JanPro's policies and procedures, keep an updated copy of our policies and procedures, follow our current policies. What are our responsibilities? Well, we'll keep the manual with all our current policies on file at our regional offices. We'll have the right to change our policies as we believe necessary. However, we will communicate any significant changes to you in writing. What are our expectations in handling customer complaints, or what are our policies? So mutually, we need to both agree that if we or your customer notifies you of an issue, you must correct the issue within 24 hours. If you do not, we may charge you a complaint or standards violation fee of $50. We may also have another franchise owner correct the issue without notifying you. We will not pay you any money from your customer for any services provided by the other franchise owner, and we will charge you a service fee of $50. These are all pretty important items, and they also will be on the final exam, so please be aware, 24 hours you have to respond. We can charge you a fee, a violation fee of $50, and if we get another franchise owner to correct it, we can also charge you a service fee of $50. So keep those in mind, and best yet, if you get a complaint, respond right away, correct within 24 hours. Like I just said, how to avoid compliance issues? Follow our model. Okay, moving on to Section 2, or Subject 2, your legal responsibilities. As your franchise agreement states, you must do the following: obey the law, never hold us responsible for any damage, loss, or liability, take sole responsibility for any illegal or harmful actions that you, your family, or your employees perform, never make JanPro part of any illegal or harmful activity, maintain the high JanPro brand standards, and abide by HIPAA standards for medical customers, meaning everything is private there. If there's a lawsuit, if a lawsuit names JanPro based on you or your employees' actions, you must defend us. You must pay costs and attorney's fees for our defense. If we incur any fees directly as a result of a lawsuit that your action started, we'll bill you. You must reimburse us promptly. If you do not reimburse us promptly, we may deduct any legal fees incurred from your statement. So obey the law. If something happens, then your responsibility is to protect JanPro. If you do not, then we will get someone to protect us, but we will then deduct those fees from you. Additionally, your legal responsibilities, you must maintain insurance as required by your franchise agreement. Your insurance will provide you with protection for some types of lawsuits. If a lawsuit names you, us, JanPro, or any of our related companies, you should immediately report it to your insurance company. If you have insurance through us, that's pretty easy. If you do not, you need to maintain a policy and report it to them. Many of our customers are going to have sensitive information laying about in their offices. We clean law offices, businesses, brokerage companies, medical facilities. So confidentiality, sensitive information about your customers and information you may see at their facilities is highly confidential. You must never reveal any information that you've discovered while cleaning a customer's facility. Note, in your franchise agreement, it requires you to maintain confidentiality of your customer's sensitive and confidential information. So we recommend that you have your employees sign a confidentiality agreement that contains the same requirements so that if any of your customers require it, you'll be able to provide a signed confidentiality agreement from you and your employees. Without our written consent, you must not disclose your customers' list information about your customers to anyone other than your employees. On our request, you must provide us with the following: a list of all your customers, a copy of their contracts. Now with us, we have the list, we have the contracts in our office, but we do provide the right to ask you for those if we so deemed it was necessary. Let's move on to subject 3, starting your new JanPro franchise business. So creating your business. Many of you have already done some of these steps. I'll go through it fairly quickly. If you haven't, then we got to make sure that we set up a time before we finish to get your limited liability business or whichever entity you choose. So before beginning it, you should form a legal business entity and you should run it as that entity. You're going to operate your business through your business entity, and that provides you with protection from some claims and liabilities. So you'll decide whether to operate your business as a corporation, an LLC or a limited liability company, a general partnership, limited partnership. We don't recommend, nor will we want you to operate as a sole proprietor. Again, most of you may have already set up your business, so this might be just a repeat. So naming your business, you will do business as JanPro as an authorized JanPro franchise owner, but your name must not have JanPro in it. Whether you're forming a corporation, limited liability, your business, you must provide us with copies of your articles of organization. Again, most of us were doing it for you, so we get it right then and there, but if you've done it on your own, make sure you provide it to us. Names to avoid, you must not use any of the following corporate or legal names for your business. Anything that says JanPro or JanPro the city, anything that has JanPro in the beginning, or any trademarks, service marks, trade names, the names the same as or similar to what we use to represent the JanPro system or any of its goods and services. If you have any questions, whether a business name complies, submit it to us for written approval before you adopt it. You'll then avoid the expense involved in changing your business name at a later date. So forming your entity, I'll just go through this quick. And again, if you have not formed your LLC yet, get with me separately and we will put that together for you. But there are steps to do that, and we know how to do it in both Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So let me know if you need help with that, and we'll get that set up for you. Again, being a professional business, if there's necessary license and permits that you may need, you need to get those. Certainly, you need to get a federal employer identification number through the IRS. Again, we can help you do that when we do your LLC. So again, see me or get a hold of me, and we'll get that taken care of. So let's talk about starting up your new franchise business. In some states, you're required to have a state employer identification number. So you'll need to check by state because it does vary. There are some states where you do not need it, some states you do need it. So check with your state, and if you do need it, you'd find it through the state's Department of Revenue or their Department of Labor website. You may need a business license or a local license in order to operate. Most of our businesses are operating out of homes, so you may not need a business license. Again, check with your local regional office to see if you do need that, or check with your local municipality to see if you need that as well. As part of your starting your business, you're going to need business cards. We can get you the business cards. Your name will go on the business card. Along with it, you're an authorized franchisee of JanPro. You can place those business cards in the customer logbook when you're provided with a customer so that they can contact you directly. You also should establish a business checking account within the name of your LLC to handle all of your JanPro business. You're probably going to need items to open that account, such as your FEIN or your federal ID number, your LLC documents. Sometimes some states will require an operating agreement for your LLC. So you'll check with your bank and open up that banking checking account in the name of your business. This type of business does not require a physical office location. You can work out of your home. We assume that the address we have in our contract with you is where your office is going to be located. If you do open up a separate office from your home, then please let us know of that address. You can do that. If you're going to operate out of that office as a JanPro authorized franchise owner, that would need to be on the door, and you couldn't use another name on that company, on the door with that company name. In terms of working capital, we do recommend that you have enough working capital on hand to meet unexpected cash flow demands of your business. The minimum amount we recommend would equal 50% of your monthly gross billings. So if you picked $1,000 a month of billings, you should have $500 a month on hand. Some of that can go to paying your employees, paying gas, paying your phone bill, anything that you may be responsible for paying. You want to make sure you have enough capital on hand to do that. And keep in mind, your first check from us, in typically every check from us, we pay you 30 days after the end of the month. So if you started an account on the 1st of the month, let's say the 1st of April, then your first check is May 30th. So you want to make sure that you can afford to pay for your business expenses between that April and May period of time. You are responsible for your taxes, whether it's occupational income taxes, federal taxes. You're responsible for all of those. So each year you'll get information from us on what we paid you. You'll also, through your JanHub application, be able to look at your statements and see what was paid to you, and then you are responsible for filing your taxes for that on each year. Let's talk about insurance, subject 4. Prior to beginning work at any customer location, you're going to need to have commercial insurance. You can get your insurance through us. Currently it's 6% of your gross revenue, or you can provide your own as long as it's equal to or greater to the coverages that we provide. Your responsibilities under your insurance are losses due to employee dishonesty, damages to the property, injuries connected to your services, and damages from breaches of security. What types of insurance should you have? Well, if you look at that picture, obviously the person driving the porta potties hopefully has some type of damage and liability insurance if he's going under that bridge and you're following in a convertible. The types of insurance that we require are a janitorial bond covering third-party employee dishonesty, workers' compensation for yourself, your employees, and if you have subcontractors, comprehensive liability insurance covering property damage, bodily injury, or personal injury. You also, depending on what state you're in, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, where you have your auto insurance, you must maintain full automobile insurance required by your state laws, which would be bodily injury, property damage liability, and probably uninsured motorist coverage. Again, we can provide all of that for you, or you can get it on your own. We just have to make sure it matches our insurance before we can give you a custom. The required minimums that we have for insurance under liability insurance, you can see here, each occurrence is $1 million. Damages to premises, $300,000. Medical expense is 15, personal and injury is $1 million, aggregate or umbrella is $2 million, and products or comprehensive is $2 million. Automobile liability is $1 million. That's in addition to your own personal automobile. Our overall umbrella for each occurrence is $2 million with an aggregate or a total of $2 million. Workers' comp, state statutes, but each accident is $1 million. Disease, $1 million. Policy limits is $1 million, and then third-party bonding is $50,000. So your insurance must meet that criteria if you're going to get it on your own. Further on insurance, you are responsible for any deductibles. If anyone files a claim due to your actions, you must pay your deductible, as your policy specifies at the time of the incident. The cost of our plan currently is 6%. As I said before, we retain the right to administer our business protection plan and may charge you a reasonable fee for doing so to participate. The cost may change, but it's currently, as I said, 6%, and it's based upon a percentage of your total gross sales. If you're participating in our JanPro Business Protection Plan, you must use our reporting procedures and follow our policies. If you don't, we could immediately transfer your customers for their protection. If you're going to have your own outside insurance, we may charge you an annual administration fee up to $50 for keeping track of the relevant information. We don't have to, but there is an opportunity if we needed to, we could do that. All right, moving on, subject 5, financial documentation. At your expense, you must keep accurate financial records. At our request, within 90 days of the end of the fiscal year, you must submit copies of your franchise, federal, and state income tax returns. That's at our request. We don't have to, but if we do, you must submit it to us. And we may inspect your business customer records and tax returns at any time. We may also arrange for an independent audit of your financial records. We will pay for any inspections or audit. We will go into later, we have a piece of software called JanHub, an app that can go on your phone that can help with your invoicing and statement management as well as your inspection management. So we'll go into that later. All right, moving right along. Subject 6, certification program. Initial certification, that's what we're doing now. You must complete the JanPro Unit Franchise Training Program. You're going to be notified of all the dates and times of training, which I think we've set up for the next 4 weeks. You should study the entire manual before completing the training program. I know many of you just received the manual, so keep up with it, look at it. We've got it electronic. If you need it printed, let me know. We can work on that. Testing, you will be tested on the manual. To pass, you must answer a minimum of 75% of the questions correctly. That is probably going to be on the test itself as well. What number do you need to pass? Should you fail to do so, you'll need to be retrained before we can offer you any customers, and we'll schedule retraining at our discretion. Once you've successfully completed the training, we will issue you a certificate of completion of training. We'll ask you to sign a form that acknowledges your accomplishment. In terms of recertification, you can request retraining, or we could request retraining. We'll notify you in writing if we require recertification, and you will have 30 days to complete that recertification. There are required retraining steps. Under the following circumstances, we may require you to recomplete to our satisfaction particular portions of the training program. For example, if you failed to achieve a passing grade of at least 75% on any tests that you took during your initial training program, or when a customer requests a transfer whether verbally or in writing, or if your business is receiving frequent customer complaints, insurance claims, or citations for policy violations, or we always have this kind of overall caveat, any other reasonable causes. We'll notify you in writing when retraining is required. You'll have 30 days to complete it. Our goal is, again, consistent service, quality service, so if things are detracting from that, we have the option to recertify you so we can make sure that the standards are being kept. Finally, moving on to subject 7, the last in this first quarter, so to speak, fulfillment of your initial franchise plan. So your initial business. We are required to offer you cleaning contracts that provide the minimum volume of initial business that was outlined in your plan and your agreement. Your plan states a time period for us to fulfill the accounts for you. Most of you are probably under the 120 business day period, but you may have something a little different. The initial offering period, let's call it starting the clock. As provided in your franchise agreement, the initial offering period starts when you've satisfied all the requirements to begin servicing accounts. This includes you formed your business entity, so you've got to have your LLC ready, you've got a business account ready to go. If you have any other licenses that you need, those are ready to go. You've completed this training and you've scored at least a 75% on all tests. You've signed the acknowledgement of completion of training. You've either purchased or you've been given as part of your equipment package, the initial equipment package and our starter kit, and you've obtained the required insurance coverage through us or through your own. Let's talk about the extension of the initial offering period. We may choose to extend the period during which we offer you your initial business under the following conditions. 1. If we agree to your written request to delay the offerings of all or part of the initial business, you'd notify us in writing when you become ready for additional business. So let's say you had to go out of town for some unknown emergency, and we're in that initial plan window. You could say, hey, please extend it. I've got to put it temporarily on hold. So if we agree to that, we would delay the offering of all of or part of your business. If you failed to meet the terms of the franchise agreement or any other agreement between us, so maybe there was something that you were supposed to do, get your LLC or something along those lines, then we could delay the time until you cured that default issue. If any of your initial customers that we've offered you and you've accepted requests, either verbally or in writing, to be transferred to another franchise owner, so your service or something about your service is not satisfactory, we could then delay it until you've resolved that or gone back to retraining. Or if any of your initial customers cancels their service verbally or in writing for any reason, except for business closing or relocation out of the area, or anything that we think is out of your control, but let's say it was service, then that's your control, then we could extend the initial offering period until you came back to training to make sure that the service you're providing is keeping within the service levels that JanPro expects and the customer expects. If an initial customer requests a transfer or cancels the service contract for any reason that is your fault, as I just said, you're going to have to complete all training to our satisfaction. But if it's for service, like we said in the disclosure meeting, we will not replace the lost customer under your initial plan. If you complete training, then we may consider going ahead and replacing a customer, but it's not under your initial plan. We have no obligation to do so. If you have requested a delay or you're in default of our agreement, we will have the remaining portion of the initial offering period, but not less than 120 business days from either the date that we receive the notice that you are ready for additional business or you have cured your default. So in essence, if you're saying that you have a delay or you're in default, when that is resolved, we have up to another 120 business days to offer you that business. I know it's a lot of information, but it's important. So let's go through the math on how accepting or declining an offer works. We'll call it stopping the clock. So in this example, we have Bob Johnson is a franchise owner. He bought an FP11, which guarantees him $916.66 per month. He signed the form that he finished training on the 14th and got everything else out of the way. So his planned due date is now October 30th, 2014. So there's that 120 business days to get him his business. Started in July, he accepted some customers and he declined some customers. So on the accepted customers, we offered him 3 of them: Jones Corp at $250, Dr. Brent at $200, Smith Co. at $300, So that was accepted 750 customers for July. He also declined 2 other customers, Adams County for 225 and Keller Williams for 250, or a total of 475 he declined. So the business owed by the due date, if you add up the 750 plus the 475, that would equal 1225. So we have offered him more than his promised amount in his agreement. So we have fulfilled our obligation by the due date, because we don't control whether he accepts it or declines it. Our job is to get those customers offered. So the 750 plus the 475 equals 1225 that we offered before his due date. He only accepted 750, but we fulfilled that obligation. Now we still owe him business, because just because he didn't accept it doesn't mean we don't need to still find him that business. So he only accepted 750. He purchased a plan that provided 916.67. So that 916.67 minus the 750 equals $166.67 that we still owe him for the business. If we are unable to offer the full amount of the initial business within the time stated in your plan, we'll refund a portion of your initial fee back to whatever plan that we fulfilled. So this is important because people question this all the time. Again, in summary, whatever plan you bought, whether it was say an FP5 where we have to get you 416, we have to offer you that amount of business within that period of time in your agreement, whether you accept it or reject it. Whatever you accept, that goes towards what we offered you. Whatever you reject, we still need to get you that business, but we are fulfilling our obligation under the time frame, not the amount. Any questions on that, please reach out to me directly. So that finishes up the first quarter of what we did in brand standards, policies, and procedures. So what did? We reviewed subject 1, the compliance with brand standards, your legal responsibilities, how to begin your new JanPro franchise business, the insurance requirements, what you're required to do from a financial documentation standpoint, the basic certification program, and the fulfillment of your initial plan on what our responsibilities are. It's a good time to take a break, so we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will come back and start the second quarter.